Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about cancer, which I know can be a scary topic, and maybe even know some family members that have cancer, but we're going to talk about the science behind how it happens. So first off, if you think about everything that can cause death, cancer is actually ranked pretty high. It's the second most common cause of death, and that the numbers just keep rising. It does kill 1 out of every 4 Americans. The risk of developing cancer can be reduced, though, by changes in a person's lifestyle. So things like exercising, eating healthy, wearing sunscreen, a lot of different precautions that we'll talk about later in the slideshow. So what exactly is it? It's basically uncontrollable mitosis. So all of our body cells, the normal body cells, will grow, divide, and die in an orderly fashion. And that's kind of what mitosis is. So it goes through all the phases, and then eventually the cell will die. Cancer cells are different because they do not die. They just continue to divide and grow. So they just keep growing and growing and dividing and affecting more cells. So eventually it develops into a tumor. So how does this all start? Well, cancer cells form as a result of damaged DNA. The last unit, when we talked about DNA, we talked about what can cause these damages. So UV light. So I told you guys to stay out of tanning beds because that's a big thing. Make sure you wear sunscreen when you go outside. It's dangerous chemicals and pollutants that are in the air, or sometimes they get leaked into water. And there is also radiation. So exposure to high dosages of radiation. These damaged genes can be passed on, which accounts for inherited characteristics. So when we say inherited, we mean passed down from generation to generation. So if a family member has some sort of gene that's affected, it could get passed down to their children, and then so on and so on. In other cases, the DNA is damaged by an outside source, such as smoking, because smoking, you've probably heard, have led to lung cancer and other things like that. And cancer usually forms a tumor. So when we get all these uncontrollable cells, it usually gets big enough to form a mass, which causes cancer. So there's 2 types of tumors. The first one, and I kind of talked to you guys about this on Friday, the scary one is malignant tumors. So these are going to be the tumors that can spread to other areas in the body. And these are very dangerous because now not only are we looking at a tumor in one part of the body, it spreads throughout the entire body. So it gets into your blood vessels, and then you can have cancer throughout the body. And usually when it gets that far, it's really hard to stop and treat for the person. They might be able to make it depending on what type of the cancer it is, but most of the time when it gets pretty spread throughout the body, their chances of surviving are not very high. And then there's benign tumors, and they stay in one place. So if you have a tumor in one area, usually they can go in and kill it, unless it does eventually become malignant and spread throughout the body. Okay, causes of cancer. Well, obviously age. The older you are, the more time you've been around to being exposed to chemicals and radiation and things like that. So your chances of getting cancer are a lot higher. Your diet, if you have high cholesterol or you eat a lot of red meats, it can cause a lot of problems with the heart and other things like that. Same thing going along with obesity. If you have a really unhealthy diet, that can lead to obesity, and your heart cannot pump and work as fast when you're overweight. Tobacco, again, a lot of damage into the lungs and other areas of the body. Exposure to chemicals, exposure to UV and radiation, and unfortunately, some causes are heredity, and some of those can't be avoided if you get something passed down from your parents or grandparents. Okay, symptoms. So remember word caution. Now, before I go over these, I don't want you to be like, oh, I have one of these, so I have cancer. This is going to be something that you see, it's going to be out of the ordinary, like not something that is just a cold or something like that. So see, changes in bathroom habits. So if you're going to the bathroom more frequently, or it's more intense, like constant diarrhea or vomiting or things like that, that could be a sign. A sore that will not heal. So if you have some sort of new sore and it just won't go away and it's constantly hurting, you definitely want to get that checked out. Okay, U for unusual bleeding. Obviously, if you're bleeding, you need to go get that checked out as well. Thickening or lump indigestion or difficulty swallowing. So again, not saying if you have a sore throat, but you constantly are having time swallowing when you're drinking water, when you're eating. Indigestion or difficulty swallowing, again, we just kind of talked about that. It's very hard to break things down and to swallow. Obvious change in any wart or mole, so that's big for skin cancer. If you see a pretty decent sized mole or wart that maybe is discolored or disshaped, you want to take a look at that. And then nagging cough or hoarseness. Again, cough, we're not talking about a cold here. So it's common to have cold, especially around this time of the year. This is going to be stuff that's very different than what you've had before. There's actually, surprising enough, foods that increase your chances of getting cancer, so try to stay away from these. So foods that are excess in fat, again, it can lead to obesity and high cholesterol, alcohol, pickled and smoked foods, and certain cooking methods can, usually a lot of grease, lead to higher chances of developing cancer. Okay, so what can you do? Luckily, you guys are still young, so you can have still young. You can have really good habits and start developing them now. So when you guys have a family and start having kids, you can make sure that they're developing healthy lifestyles. And something that's kind of scary is that actually there's so many more people that are obese nowadays because of not going out. Everyone stays inside on their computer watching TV. No one's going out and exercising anymore. So we are starting to see levels of obesity increasing all over the world, and mostly in the United States because we're really bad. Our food portion sizes and everything has really gone out of control. So what can you do? You need to have at least 5+ servings from plants a day. So eat your veggies. Salads are good. You want to try to get as much of that as you can because that is really healthy for you. Limit any fatty foods, especially from animals. Now, yes, you can still have meat, but try not to have a high red meat diet. That can be very dangerous. Stay physically active. I know you guys are in gym, you play sports. It's easy to do now, but once you get into college and high school, you kind of go away from that. So continue developing those healthy lifestyle choices. And obviously now we're not drinking alcohol because we are under 21, but when you are old enough and you have the choice, not saying you shouldn't drink it at all, but says limit how much you drink, because if you do drink excess amount, it can eventually lead to an unhealthy lifestyle. Foods that help fight cancer, so a lot of vitamin C, antioxidants, eat your fruits and veggies, vitamin E and selenium, calcium, water, and fiber. So try to get as much of these as you can within your diet. Okay, so 5 for the road. So eat lots of fruits, veggies, and whole grains. Discover the pleasure of physical activity. I ran a half marathon a few years ago, and I like to run. I also take these intensity classes at the place where I work out, such as Tabata and yoga and kickboxing. I just find them really fun. So find something that you like to do. If you like to play sports or dance or play soccer, goes out. Make sure you're staying physically fit. Stay tobacco free. Guys, I really hope none of you smoke or even try to. It's disgusting, makes your breath smell, it turns your teeth yellow, and it's just gross, to be quite honest. And I just don't understand why young kids think, oh, I should try that. It's not cool, it's not fun, and all it does is cause health problems. So really try to stay away from that. Enjoy a low-fat diet. And a big one, protect yourself from the sun. Even if you're just going to go out there for a little bit and you're like, I don't need sunscreen or I need a baseline tan, every single time you do that, your chances of getting skin cancer increase. Okay, so conclusion, cancer is a preventable disease in most cases. Again, we say most cases because sometimes it's passed down from parents. There's not really a lot you can do for that. Lead a healthy lifestyle, be aware of your body, and check out resources. www.cancer.org is a really great resource to use. All right, so that seems to be the end of your cancer notes. Now I'm going to have you guys do the Cell Cycle and Cancer Virtual Lab to learn a little bit more about cancer, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.